Right, welcome everybody to a celebration of our new album. This album is called Kids Sanctuary. My name is Yuval Ron. I'm the composer and the co-producer of this series of albums, actually 3 albums for kids and parents. And before I introduce to you the creative team behind this effort, I would like you to see a very short album trailer. It's just 2 minutes long of the behind the scene of how we made this album. So you'll get to see the musicians recording, you'll get to hear some of the narrators, and I'm going to invite Zach, our production manager, to play our album trailer. Kids Sanctuary has been a labor of love for me. This is a very special project, all for children and parents. It has mindful activities, mindful listening, narrated by the great Kara ALICIA GOYAL.
Keep your whole body still and watch the bubbles float above you. With your eyes, follow them as they move and dance in the air. Hello, Bubbles. I see you.
We have Julien with his sweet voice guiding the children through mindful listening. And we have Sophie Timpers, a Montessori educator with years of experience in a mindful Montessori school, who wrote the script. We had master musicians such as Adam Del Monte on guitar, Radha Prasad from India on the Bansuri flute, BRIEN ENGEL on the glass harmonica, and Sophie Timpers on the kalimba. This album have music that helps children to sleep, music that helps children to get over tummy ache. It has music that helps children to focus. And all this may bring centering and attunement and inner peace that are so important nowadays for children to have. So enjoy the music, enjoy the mindfulness activities, share it with your friends and family, and hopefully it will contribute to more harmony and beauty in the life of your child and your family. Okay, everybody. So how did we get an idea to do this? I mean, it's a lot of work, and as far as I'm concerned, I really enjoyed working on it, but I never ever in my career, and I've been in this business for 35 years, I never thought about making a children album. And now here we are, we've done it. My partner in crime is Dr. Richard Gold, who's the executive producer of the project, and he is the president of Meta Mindfulness Music. And I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Gold and invite him to share with us why and how we got this idea of doing 3 albums for children, focusing on mindfulness. Dr. Gold, please join us.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Yuval. Yuval and I speak every week via Zoom to discuss our project with Meta Mindfulness Music. And our intention is to do as much good in the world as we can. It's a funny business model, but as far as an expression of loving kindness and trying to do good, this is an amazing vehicle. Especially during the pandemic, when children were out of school and the entire world was being turned upside down, it occurred to me, and I expressed this to Yuval, that let's see what we can provide for families to benefit peace of heart, peace of mind, peace of spirit. And this whole idea began to develop. It didn't develop as a 3-album model. That we didn't envision that, boom, that's what we're going to do. But as the project progressed, and especially when we started to work with Sophie, who's just a brilliant teacher and a brilliant educator and a very artistic person, we recognized that we wanted to include as much of a perception and senses as possible. And so then we developed one model where there's kinesthetic exercise, where there's actually a simple touch to help with tummy ache and help with grounding. There's a lot of auditory signals where it's active listening for the children. And then there's visualizations. And by combining all of these senses, unfortunately, we really couldn't do olfactory, but that's another project maybe for the future. As it began to develop, we saw that we had this potential to really invoke and to involve not just the children, but the caregivers, the parents, the person who's helping the child in whatever form, whether it's a grandparent, aunt or an uncle, or even a babysitter, someone like that. And that's how this project just started to evolve and develop. When Sophie came in with her vast experience and started writing the scripts, and then she honored me by asking me to help edit, I realized we were digging into a gold mine of potential here. The children are our future. I mean, it's important for mindfulness for adults, but that's sort of like, the cow's already out of the barn for a lot of us older people. We can still develop mindfulness, but with children, if we can develop this self-awareness, this ability to self-observe and to be able to self-regulate, we're going to potentially create a better future. And so with that in mind, and Yuval's creativity and the team and the musicians that we're able to bring together, and then when we got Cara to narrate, that was just a gift from the heavens. It just all came together, and it's like Yuval said, it's been a lot of work, but it's been an act of love and a passion project. And it's just a wonderful blessing that we had this opportunity to work together, and we're hoping to reach as many people as possible. With that in mind, we're going forward. We're going to actually have a Mandarin Chinese version of this program, a French version, a Spanish version, and then also a Hebrew version. Someone asked me recently, should we do a Hindi version to bring it into India? And I thought, we'll look into it. So with that in mind, thank you all for joining us, and we really hope that it's not just for children, this work. I really think, having listened to it many times myself, it brings me peace, it brings me comfort, and it helps encourage my meditative practice. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to Yuval.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. I've been spending so much time with this music, and like you, I found some days where I work on email or some business stuff and I need to review documents, and I just want to play this music in the background. I just play the album for myself. It's so soothing, it's so beautiful, it's just pure. And I'm so glad that we're doing it, and we did it together. It all started from one track called Kids Sanctuary, which I composed, and then out of that came Sleepy Time, which Dr. Gold recommended that I will do a lullaby for children based on a lullaby that my mother sang to me when I grew up in Israel, and it's one of the most famous Hebrew lullabies called Numi Numi, and I found out that it was public domain. The writer wrote it over 100 years ago, a very old song, and I just stripped it from its words and just used the melody and wrote it for classical guitar, and I brought Adam Del Monte, the great master of the classical guitar, to play it. And then Focus Pocus came out of a piece that I wrote for harp originally, and then came Enchanted Water, which I wrote for Sophie. So when I thought about this album, when Dr. Gold invited me to take Kids Sanctuary and grow an album out of one track, I thought about Sophie Timpers, because first of all, Sophie Timpers is my dear, dear friend. We're like a family. Our families became like one family. And Sophie is, for me, just the greatest teacher and personality for children, because she's really experienced with working with children. And Sophie invited me to produce 3 of her children albums. So Sophie knows more than me about children albums. I've been producing her albums, but she wrote the music She wrote the lyrics. So I thought, oh, if we could get Sophie just to play kalimba or bells on one song. And then I thought maybe we should invite Sophie to write the script for the whole album. So I called up Sophie and I told her about it, and she said yes. And since then, for months, Sophie and I have been working on it. And let me introduce you, Sophie. And Sophie is right here next to me, Sophie Timpers. And Sophie and I, we've been exchanging emails for months. I mean, maybe for a year now, as we've been working on it. And I remember so many times, even when we work on the French version, I sent an email to Sophie and I said, oh, I love this project. And Sophie write to me, twice a week, oh, I just love this project, right? We're just enjoying it.
Absolutely true. It's been such a pleasure and an honor. Since the time you called me, I remember clearly. It was sunset time. I was on my walk and it says this amazing project to me. Oh, yes, 100% yes. Yeah, it's been a really a beautiful ride.
So Sophie did one of the tracks as a kalimba player. I wrote the themes for her and she came and played it. But then she was contributing so much to the project, beyond just a writer, that I felt, Sophie is kind of co-producing it with me and with Dr. Gold. So we ought to give her a producer title. And so she's actually credited as associate producer because she had so many advices and tips and connections and putting us together with talents. But I think the most important thing for the album is the script, because everything is around the script. And you wrote the whole script based on the music, right?
Yes.
How did you write it? How did it?
Based on the music, but really I imagine, like I always do when I work with children and I want to make something for them, I imagined being with the children, being in a room with them as if they were my child. So how would I speak to them, or as if they were my students in my classes? I wanted to address them really authentically. And, with all this experience I have, I know what works, what doesn't work. And of course, with Dr. Gold's help, we chose which exercises to use, how to describe them, so that it's efficient, so that it speaks to the kids.
Is it Montessori education? I mean, how would you say?
I'm a Montessori teacher, so that's deep in me. I don't know if what came out is part Montessori or part just me or part, because I practice meditation, mindfulness. So it could be a combination of everything.
Yeah, it's like me and Waldorf education. I'm a parent in Waldorf education, and a lot of time we do things, and I say to my wife, Caroline, "Oh, this is so Waldorfy. This is, we're doing it, but it has to do with creativity and the arts and nature and spirituality. That's what we found in the Waldorf education, which is like an extension of our family. That's how we feel. The school and the family kind of fit. There's a nice fit. So it's hard to know where the line is. Where's the education, where is you? Yeah. But it's all one world.
Exactly. I think in the end we're a rainbow of many different things. So when different people meet, each of these rainbows create an even bigger rainbow, and it shines even brighter.
Yeah. Tell me, Sophie, what do you think children would get out of this project? What if they use, let's say, all three albums? The first album is only music. The second album is mindful listening with Julien, my son, reading the text, of guiding kids to listen very, very mindfully to the music, to elements in the music. We break down the music to little pieces, and we have the kids listen to just the bells, or just the harp, or just the bansuri bamboo flute, and they learn to listen to the elements within the music. And then when they listen to the whole piece, they hopefully focus on listening, and they quiet down through the listening, right?
That was the idea.
Yeah. And then we have Cara reading mindful activities. So from your point of view as an educator, if you imagine, let's say you never heard about this project, and now you were watching this on YouTube or on Zoom, or a friend would send you this video and you just hear about it, what do you feel it could do for children and families? What it would bring?
I think what I would love for to happen would be a sense of connection. I think if you do this with your child or with the child that you care for, you would have a sense of connection, a bonding through the exercises, through the music. I remember when I started to write all this text on this script, I went in my daughter's room and we did it. It was a fantastic experience because she tells me, actually, I can't do that right now in my body. I would have to be lying down, or, you know. So we and as we did it, we really connected more deeply, profoundly.
Yeah.
I think there's after this sense of connection, of course, the sense of calm.
Yeah.
We relaxed. Our whole body was relaxed. We did it in the evening before sleep.
Yeah. We received an email from one grandma who got the album last week, and she listened to it with her grandchild, and she said that after doing the activities, after listening, the little girl sat in the street and she was very contemplative mood after it, and she said suddenly, I can hear the bird on the tree, and I can hear, she started hearing things that were in the environment, but it was just background people. And suddenly she's tuning in, and she said, and I feel peace in myself, you know, and that came from the little girl. And the grandma, who's a psychologist, she's a family therapist, quite established family therapist from Santa Monica, and she's in her 70s. She has a lot of experience working with families. She sent us this email as a testimonial of how kids reacted. It's so beautiful. We received an email from a mindfulness teacher from Seattle who is a younger mother. She's in her 30s, and she listened to it with her daughter, and she said that they just fell asleep together while listening to it, and it was so beautiful experience for her. It was just beautiful, and that's how she wrote about it. So we are very grateful for the feedbacks we are receiving. There have been a couple of music reviews that are now starting to come out. There are 2 reviews that came out last week. We're going to post it on our social media, and they're quite glorious reviews of this project. And it's interesting, it's music reviewers who normally just review music, and they're reviewing it, and they write about what they think it would do for children and families, besides of the fact that they really appreciate the music. But it's interesting to hear how they're stretching themselves.
But it works for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what's really amazing. I think once you start to listen to these albums, you can see anybody can enjoy it, not only for the children.
Yeah, I listen to it a lot.
Oh, me too.
That's amazing. So let's turn to one more friend who's with us, and this is ALICIA GOYAL, who is also a recent friend of mine. And when I was looking for a narrator, my daughter Silana, who's my creative advisor, she just had the best ideas for me. I turned to my daughter, who's 16 now, and I said, who do you think could narrate this script of Sophie Timpers? Who would do that and have the right voice? And Silana thought, and she said, I think Kara should do that. So I called Kara and invited her to be with us. And Kara worked on the script. She practiced the script. We sent it to her a few weeks before. And then she came to the studio and she read it. And it's just so perfect. It's just perfect for the script. And now all the narrators around the world, the Mandarin, Chinese, and the Hebrew, and the French, and the Spanish, they're all listening to Kara English version because they are working on the translated versions, and that's now the gold standard. You know, it has to be as good as Kara, and everybody around the globe are sweating to try to get it as good. And it's I wouldn't want to be the narrator in the other languages trying to do what Kara did. And it's really, I really love the sound and the attitude, and how, Kara, how you connected with children with the way you read it. So I know you are a mother to 2 boys, and how old are, here, let me introduce Kara and tell us about your kid. How old are they?
Thank you for your lovely comments, Yuval and Sophie. Yes, so I am a mother of two boys.
Rafi, right?
So
Rafi and Nessie.
my son Rafi is 11 and my son Obi is 7. And talking about mindfulness, there's never a quiet moment in our house. And so yes, and so just trying to get them to be quiet is a challenge sometimes.
Sure.
But when you approached me about working on the album, I was absolutely delighted. I felt extremely honoured to do it. And you sent me the music first, and then I received the script a few weeks later, and I listened to the music every day, and then it became twice a day, and then it became this sort of beautiful hum of our household, and it really got right within me, and I began to know every single part of it and really lived it, and that was just wonderful. It's just so mesmerizing, it's so soothing, it's calming, and I noticed that at certain times of the day, if I put your music on, my boys just mellowed even for 5 minutes, so that was wonderful. It was absolutely fantastic.
I'm wondering about Kara reading the script. If you were thinking about your boys, like, did you have them in your mind, or did you have your nephews, or who did you speak to when you were recording?
Sure. Well, listening to the wonderful music, but also receiving the script from Sophie. Sophie writes absolutely brilliantly. Her writing is so visual, it's colourful, it's bright, it's cheerful, and the words jumped out at me, and that, along with the music, made it. You guys made it easy for me. I'm just the dust.
So natural.
I'm
Amazing.
just a sprinkling of dust, really.
It felt really natural.
And in terms of who I was thinking about, yes, I was absolutely thinking about my boys, and we practiced the mindful meditations at home. But also my former director of children's programs, and so having had that experience of working with children, and reading Sophie's writing. The way Sophie writes is she's inside the mind of the child. She understands
the language of the child.
She absolutely understands them. And it was wonderful for me just to use the words and narrate it.
I have one last question to Kara, and it is the same question I asked Sophie, is what do you think, let's say if you were a mother that never heard about this project, and now you're just watching this semi-documentary or a little behind-the-scene conversation, and you find out about it, and you're thinking, should I have it for my family? What could I get? What would my family would get from it? If you were just watching this and hearing a little bit of the music, seeing the album trailer, what would you think would be the benefit for your family, for your children, if you never experienced it already? Just from what you're hearing, what does it tell you? What does it hint towards?
For me, if I haven't seen the trailer or the album, what immediately jumps out at me is this sense of instilling peace, inner peace and calm. And we've all experienced this pandemic, and it's been quite challenging for all of us. And I think this album is so well timed for that reason. Many of us have been at home with our children, homeschooling and working. And so if I knew that this album was coming out now, I would absolutely want to get those albums.
It's a way to get the kids out of the computer, right? Because you can take your phone and play it from your phone, but not let them hold the phone or play with the phone. They just need to listen, right? And the same thing, you can play it from the computer, you can play it from your stereo. It's available in 3 different albums, actually. There's one that is just music only. The second one is guided listening, mindful listening. And that third one is with Kara, and it's the mindfulness practices. So it's a set. So let's go to Zach, our production manager, and see if there are any questions that people would like to send us.
Is there a quick and easy way we can get a link to this music?
Yes, well, there's a QR which we're going to put on the screen, a QR, and if you have a phone, you can go to your camera, on your phone camera, and place your phone camera in front of that QR, and then you can get a link right to get the music. The music is not available on CDs, unfortunately. Maybe in the future we will. You know, who knows? We thought that vinyl died, and the vinyl is now out. Maybe in 10 years, suddenly CD would be very fashionable. So who knows? Maybe we'll put it out. But right now, it's available digitally everywhere on Spotify, on Amazon. You can go to Amazon and type in Kids Sanctuary Yuval Ron, which is what my name is, and you just find it. You're going to find one, but then look for the second one, the third one. There are 3 Kids Sanctuary albums.
Joyce wants to know, how can music teachers use this music for their students?
Sophie, what are you saying?
For me.
Yeah, yes. Sophie teaches music to kids.
I do teach.
How can teachers use it in the classroom or in the kindergarten, preschools?
It's very simple. How? I think you just press the play button. Basically, if you set up your environment, you know, you can say maybe let's listen to something that's going to relax us at the end of the class, and I would just simply press the button, listen to it, listen to Kara's voice with the directions.
Right. So that
already done.
So that is the one with Kara is called Kids Sanctuary Mindful Practices. Okay, so you look at the subtitle. The mindful practices is with all the activities narrated and guided by Kara. The one that has a kid narrator, where the kids learn to listen to the elements within the music and they're really focusing their mind and their ear. That is called guided listening or mindful listening. Guided mindful listening. Guided mindful
Any
listening.
of these two would be amazing.
So that's
addition to
kids.
the classroom.
Yeah. So those have those 2 have narrators. One adult narrator, one a kid narrator, and the Kids Sanctuary for your inner child and for your child and your inner child. That's the music only.
And that one can be used in the classroom as the children work,
right?
or as they play. You could completely put it in the background.
There's a good track called Focus Focus, and that's really great when kids do activities, and it would help them focus on whatever they do. It can be reading, or they do arts and crafts, or they playing board games, or anything that they do. That music would help them focus on whatever they do longer. There's Sleepy Time, which is great. Actually, my daughter, who's 16 years old and kind of officially out of the range of the target audience, which is 2 to 12, my daughter had a sleepover recently at a friend's house and she couldn't fall asleep. It was, I don't know, midnight, and she went to her friend's bedroom, and her friend wasn't sleeping, who was 15 years old. And the friend suggested to my daughter, how about if we listen to Sleepy Time? And they put on Sleepy Time, and then it helped them to fall asleep.
So nice.
So anybody could use it. You know, if you are in a hotel room traveling and you've done a long day of work or traveling, and you're just wired and you just can't rest, even though you're tired, but you cannot fall asleep. That track, Sleepy Time, would be wonderful to just listen to in the music-only album.
Carolyn said, yesterday our family listened to the music-only album, and it was wonderful to hear while doing craft activities, reading together, and cooking dinner that evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Zach. I wanted to emphasize before we go back to the album trailer and conclude our little program that the record company that Dr. Gold established, called Meta Mindfulness Music, one of the principal things about this record company is that every track of music and every album must feature live instruments and not synthesizers. No electronic music is featured playing the melody notes, and that's very, very important for us. And so there are real human beings playing real instruments, and there's full vibrations. The the vibrations of the musical instruments are richer than electronic instruments. And so we, our children and us, feel that. We feel it without noticing it. And we receive that. It's like a full massage rather than a watered down massage, you know? It's a massage for our inner organ and to our brain, our nervous system. Every cell of our body is vibrating to the music. And so this music is very effective because it has a lot of human touch. It has human vibrations, and coming from the musicians through the acoustic instrument, it's being recorded and being transmitted to you. So enjoy it, try it, share it with your friends, share it with your families, share it with your neighbors. And this is our little gift and little medicine that we hope will go out there to the world and make a better world. Make a better world for our children. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you Dr. Gold for initiating this project, and thank you for Sophie. Thank you for Kara.
Thank you, Kara.
And we'll go out with the album trailer, and after the album trailer there will be QR images on the screen, and if you scan that QR with your phone camera, you will get a link to where you can get the music. Again, you can Google Kids Sanctuary Yuval Ron or Kids Sanctuary album, and you will find all the pages where it is. It's everywhere. It's on every online store. It's on every streaming store. It's very easy to get. Enjoy it and be well. Thank you for being here. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Kids Sanctuary has been a labor of love for me. This is a very special project, all for children and parents. It has mindful activities, mindful listening, narrated by the great ALICIA GOYAL.
Keep your whole body still and watch the bubbles float above you. With your eyes, follow them as they move and dance in the air. Hello, bubbles. I see you.
We have Julien with his sweet voice guiding the children through mindful listening. And we have Sophie Timpers, a Montessori educator with years of experience in a mindful Montessori school, who wrote the script. We had master musicians such as Adam Del Monte on guitar, Radha Prasad from India on the Bansuri flute, BRIEN ENGEL on the glass harmonica, and Sophie Timpers on the kalimba. This album have music that helps children to sleep, music that helps children to get over tummy ache. It has music that helps children to focus. And all this may bring centering and attunement and inner peace that are so important nowadays for children to have. So enjoy the music, enjoy the mindfulness activities, share it with your friends and family, and hopefully it will contribute to more harmony and beauty in the life of your child and your family.